Hello, my name is Nathan Ogwang. I work as a GIS expert for ACSET Uganda. In this manual, I will explain to you briefly what GIS is and what its functions are. Firstly, GIS stands for Geographical Information Systems, and it is a computer-based system that is used for collecting, analyzing, managing, and visualizing data. A working GIS integrates 5 components. The very first component is hardware, the second is software, the third is data, the fourth are people, and then the very last one are methods. Hardware is a computer on which GIS operates. This can include other devices like smartphones and GPS devices. GIS software provides the functions and tools needed to store, analyze, manipulate, and present geographical information. Data is the core of a GIS. GIS cannot operate without someone skilled and that knows how to use the system. A successful GIS operates according to a well-designed plan. Each of these components are key to the functionality of a GIS, and any one of them missing means that the system cannot function properly. The following are the functions of GIS. The first one is data collection. The second is data management. The third is data analysis. And the last one is data presentation or visualization. I will demonstrate to you what is done in each one of these functions. Please note that these are wide topics and cannot be explained exclusively in this video. Like I said, the first function of GIS is data collection. Data collection is a process of gathering observations or measurements from relevant sources to find answers to research questions. The data collected can be qualitative or quantitative data. Examples of qualitative data can include names of persons, names of places, etc. And examples of quantitative data can include number of people in a household, the number of users of a solar system, and many others. I will show you how to create a system for collecting data and storing it in a website called Kobo Toolbox. Kobo Toolbox works hand in hand with a phone application called Kobo Collect. This means that the application has to be installed in a smartphone. The application is what is used for collecting data, while the website is where the data is stored. The following is what we'll cover in creating a system or a data collection system in Kobo Toolbox. The first one is how to create a server. The second is designing a form. The third is deploying a form. The fourth is how to synchronize Kobo Collect installed in the smartphone or tablet to the server, that is a website, Kobo Toolbox. The fifth is downloading a form from the server into the tablet or into the application. The sixth is how to edit, delete unwanted data and sending the data back to the server after you have collected it. And then the seventh is retrieving or downloading the data collected from the server into your computer. Now that we have seen what we are going to cover in creating a data collection system in Kobo Toolbox, let's start by creating a server. First of all, a server is a computer program that provides service to another computer device or program and its user. In our case, our server is going to be an account that we will create in a website called Kobo Toolbox. That account will serve the phone application Kobo Collect installed in phones, smartphones or tablets. Now let me show you how to create an account in Kobo Toolbox. Select any web browser of your choice. It can be Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge or Mozilla. In my case, I'm going to be using Google Chrome. So I will open Google Chrome, and in the search area here I will type www.kobotoolbox, which is a URL for the website for Kobo Toolbox, and hit enter. This URL should be able to take you to the website on any web browser. Now when you're there, scroll down to this area, get started. There are 2 accounts that you can open. We'll open one under this sector or under this section. Click create an account. A window pops up, and this window requires that you put the details of your project and then the details of your organization. And then your name, email, the sector, the country, and all this information. When you're done inserting this information, you create account. Because I already have an account, I am not going to go into entering all this information. I will just go and log in. So there is a login part here. Just hit the login. Okay, this window pops up and it now requires you to enter your username and password. This information is part of what you use for creating the account. So after you have entered your username and password, go and hit login. By doing that, you now have an account in Kobo Toolbox. And I can say we are literally done with creating our server. Go ahead and try it out yourself. And now let's go into how to create a form. Our second step in creating a system in Kobo Toolbox is now creating a form. A form in Kobo Toolbox is an electronic questionnaire. An electronic questionnaire is a set of questions with a choice of answers for a purpose of a survey or research. Kobo Toolbox will ask you to specify if the data you're going to enter is either a number, a photo, or a GPS point, or a code. There are really very many options. So you'll have to be careful while you enter your questions. Kobo Toolbox also gives a function where you can make a question to have a mandatory response or not. Mandatory response means that a data collector cannot move to the second question or to the next question without answering the one that he is currently at. Now, let's see how to create a form. I will also advise you to have your questions ready set, because this will reduce on the amount of time you will take in creating your form. I assume that you're still logged in into your account, but if you're not, you follow the same procedure of going to your web browser. You use any of your choice. Go to the search area here and type www.kobotoolbox.org and hit enter. Remember, this happens on any web browser. When you're in the website, scroll down to the Get Started section and come down here to Login. Hit Login. Because my username and password has been saved by Google Chrome, it has taken me direct to my account. Otherwise, it should have brought you to, let me just do that, let me go back. It should have brought you to a section like this that asks you again to insert your username and password, and then later you can log in. Okay, now that we are in our server already, let's create a form. How do you do that? There is a blue button here. Click that blue button that says new. A window pops up and it has 4 buttons. We'll use the very first one. So I'm going to click Build from Scratch. Build from Scratch asks me to put a project name. I'll just suggest a project name and say Solar Project, and put a description. You can enter the description of your project. I'll say this project is about solar PV use in Uganda. And then it will ask you to put the sector where this project falls under. So just click there. There is so much here, but you can select where your project falls under. Mine falls under the environment sector, so I'll hit that. The country, of course, is Uganda for me. And then you can check or uncheck this box. Of course, I would encourage you to read the information. It's something you can decide on your own. And then hit Create Project. Okay, to add questions to the form, here is what it says. This form is currently empty. You can add questions, notes, prompts, or other fields by clicking on the plus sign below. Where is the plus sign? It's right here. So I'm going to show you how you can enter questions into your form. So click there. I'll say the first question is going to be name of data collector. When you're done typing the question, hit enter. When you hit enter, like I said, it will prompt you to select what kind of data this is. Is it a text? Is it a number? Is it a date? But we all know a name of a person is a text. So text is right here. So I just select text. We can make this question mandatory by clicking on this settings icon. On my left hand side here are three options or three functions. The first one is question options, skip logic, and validation. We'll use the very first one, and right here you can see mandatory response here. By default it is usually a no, but we can make this mandatory because we want the data collector to put his name. If you do not do that, someone can forget and miss answering, putting his name under this first option or first question. We'll also add, we'll then go to another question and say number of members in the household. Now hit enter. Number of members in a household is definitely a number. It's either 2, 3, 4, 5, whichever number. So this is a number. Kobo Toolbox is asking me what data this is. It is definitely a number. I'll make this mandatory as well. And then I'll say, do you have a solar system installed? This is a question. Hit enter. I want them to select one answer, either yes or no. So I'll predetermine the answers. To do that, the first option gives you that ability. So you just select the first option and it will ask you, what is your first answer? My first answer is going to be it's either a yes or a no. I will make this two mandatory. I'll set another question and say, take the GPS location of this place that you have mapped. And hit enter. GPS point is a point, so it's right here. Kobo Toolbox sees it as a point, so the function is right here. I'll make this mandatory as well. And the last one can be, what are your recommendations on the use of the solar system? Okay, and I hit enter. So all these options is what you can use to set different questions. Okay, this particular one is still going to be a text because someone is going to write a sentence. I'll select text. Okay, and make it as well mandatory. And you can go on and on and on and create as many questions as you want. To preview these questions, you come right here to the preview icon and click on that icon. Okay, this is how our form looks like. Here is the first thing we entered, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. And you can print this questionnaire or convert it to a PDF. You can print it, okay, or convert it to PDF and give it to a colleague to look through the questions and see if they make sense and if they can be understood by the data collector. Let me just show you a form that I created for a project that has more questions. Here is an example of a questionnaire that I made for this project. It has very many questions. In fact, it has 6 pages, as you can see. So you can try out adding as many questions as you want or as you like, and I would encourage you also to add different kinds of questions. Don't only add questions that require text or numbers only. Mix them up so you can get conversant with the different kinds of questions that you can add in Kobo Toolbox. Make sure to keep saving your work. You click there by saving, as you can see here, successfully updated. When you're done, you can return to your home page of your server. The questionnaire or the form that we just created is right here under draft. It is Solar Project, and this is the description of the form. I hope that now you can create a form of your own. Go ahead and try it out. Let's now see how to deploy the form that we created. Deploying a form is now going to be our third step in creating a data collection system in Kobo Toolbox. Deploying is the process of making the form that you created available for Kobo Collect to access and download. Unless the form is deployed, Kobo Collect cannot download that form. Like all the other stages, you need a live internet connection to do this. Now let's see how the form is deployed. I assume that you're already logged in into your server or your account. The form that we created is right here. So open it by clicking on it. And when you do, it brings you directly to the section where you can deploy the form. To deploy the form, you're going to click this blue button right here. As you can see, it is deploying the form. Okay, and it says the form is deployed. We can now return to the home page of the account by clicking on this Kobo Toolbox icon or word here. As you can see, we no longer have a section for draft here, meaning that all the forms here are deployed under the folder deployed. By doing so, Kobo Collect is now going to be able to access the form that we created. You can now go and deploy the form that you created. Now let's see how the form gets downloaded to Kobo Collect. Before we can go into downloading the form, let's look at our fourth step, which is synchronizing Kobo Collect to the server. Synchronizing the two will enable communication between Kobo Collect and the account that we created, which we call our server. Of course, you need to have Kobo Collect installed in your smartphone or tablet. And if you don't have it yet, you can go to your App Store and download the application. You definitely need the internet to download your phone and also to establish the connection between the two, the application and the server. Now let me show you how that is done. I already have the application in my smartphone, as you can see here. It's freshly downloaded. If you don't have it, go to your App Store and download it. Now let me open it. I will now show you how to synchronize this application Kobo Collect to your account that you created in Kobo Toolbox. To do that, I'll just click on the application, select the second option, and then you're going to enter this URL. I'm just going to copy and paste it. You will enter this URL. This URL has, first of all, the link to the website Kobo Toolbox, and then after this /, you're going to add your username of the account that you opened in Kobo Toolbox. My username is this. And then under username, you will still enter the username that you use for opening the account in Kobo Toolbox, which is the same. And then you'll enter your password. These details are the same details that you use for logging in into your account in Kobo Toolbox. When you're done that, just come down here and say add. Okay. By doing that, you have now synchronized the application Kobo Collect to your server. As long as the login details are the same as the one of the account that you opened, your Kobo Collect now is synchronized to the account in Kobo Toolbox. Now let's go and download a form. Now that our application is synchronized to the server, let's now move to our fifth step, which is downloading a form and collecting data. You will still need an internet connection to do this. Now let me show you how to download the form into the application. To download the form, go to the second last option, get blank form, open it. The application connects to the server quickly. This depends on the speed of your internet. As you can see, my server has two forms. But remember, I only want this one, the one that we created. I uncheck this one to make sure that I do not download it as well. Okay, so let me do that again and leave this checked. And then I come down here to where it says get selected, this section here. So just click get selected. It downloads it very fast and it says all downloads are succeeded. Click OK. Now how do we check that our form is downloaded? You come to the very first option here, fill blank form, or you can come to the last option here, delete saved form. Let's start with the first one. Open it by clicking on it. Here is the form. Okay, so that means this form is already in the application. Let's go back and see the second option where we can see where the form goes into. The very last option here, so open there and come to blank forms here. You see there are two folders here. There is saved forms and then there is blank form. So you come right here to blank form and right here is our form. So go back to the home page. Now we are ready to collect data. Where do you go to collect data? You go to the very first option that says fill blank form, where we check if we have the form that we downloaded. So let me just open there. And now to collect data, I just simply click. This is a very simple stage, simple level now. You just open and enter. This is the very first question or pops up, says name of data collector. I just add my name and click next. Number of members in the household, I'll say 2. Do you see this red asterisk here? If I try to move to the next question without answering this one, let's see what happens. You see what it says? Sorry, this response is required, meaning that I must answer this question before moving to the next one. So I'll just say it's 2 and say next, and then says, do you have solar system installed? Yes, I do, and say next, and says take a GPS location of the place you've mapped, and just click there, and the GPS function does it automatically, collects the point for you automatically, and you move to next. What are your recommendations? You say the system needs regular maintenance. I'm just using this as an example, okay, showing you how you can collect data. It's really a simple thing. You go to next and says you are at the end of solar project. So just come here and say save form and exit. So I'm going to click there. By doing that, you have finished collecting your first point, and so you can do the same for very many or other points that you want to map. Okay. Now let's move to how you can send the form or edit it or delete it. Following the same procedure of data collection, 50 solar extension agents that we trained have so far collected data of over 5,000 places. Here is one of them sharing tips of how to collect solar PV data.
My name is Cole Moses Okawa. I'm one of the solar extension agents trained by ACSET Uganda under the project called ProREU at Uganda Technical College Lira, UTC. Right now I'm here in my workshop where I do earn a living. Right now I plan to go and map the solar PV system installed at the Otuke district headquarters. When you are going for mapping, you must make sure that you have the kits and the tools that you are going to use it for mapping. You must make sure that your tablet is having enough power, and you have to check on it as I'm doing. You have to check on the application which we use it for collecting data, whether it is correctly functioning. My multimeter and my tablet, make sure you put at a proper place where it cannot get spoiled. Now that I've reached the point I'm going to map, I'm going to look for the person responsible for the place to give me the information I need. The information I need about the solar PV system, I do ask the very person concerned by asking him with some questions, and the other information that I need I also get by observing or seeing those components like the battery and the size of the panels and the GPS point and the photo of the solar PV system where it is installed. When I finish collecting the data or the information, I upload to the database.
Our sixth step now is how to edit, delete and upload data back to the server from the application Kobo Collect. Let me show you how it is done. So here is my application. As you can see, I have currently one form saved in the application. The first button here is where we collected data from. The second is where the data that you collected is edited from. Usually after you've collected data, it is saved in this folder or button. And then the same data comes to the third button here, Send Finalized Form. And then the View Sent Form is where you see or look at or view the form that you've already sent to the server. Now let's see how the data or how the form you collected can be edited. Let me click there, Edit Saved Form. And then we currently have one form that is saved in the application. Usually you might make a mistake and maybe you want to correct, or you got the right information and now you want to correct it. What do? Just open the form, and let's say you made a mistake in the number of members in the household. So to correct that, you just open that question where you made the error in and say, I'll click that, and then say maybe it was 2. So I click 2, I add 2, and then click next, 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 until you come to this point of save form and exit. So I'll just click there, save form and exit. After you've done that, the same thing that you did here happens in the third folder. Okay? Now, how do you send or upload the form to the server? This is where you upload the form to the server. So you click to open it, and this is the form. If you want to send it, you just check the form and then send selected. But before we can send it, let me show you how to delete the form. To go back to the home page, you click back. Now, you may have made an error in the entire form and you feel like you should just start the whole process all over again. What do you do to delete that wrong form? You come to the very last option here, Delete Saved Form, open it, and the very first one here is the form that is still in the application. This second form is already finalized and sent to the server. So even if you delete it, there is not going to be any big difference. Okay? It is not going to be deleted from the server. It will only be deleted from the application. So this is where you can delete a form that is wrong. To delete it, you just check and then delete selected form. I'll go back to the home page so that we can send the form that we just collected data for. So to send this form, I'll just open the third button here and check the form and say send selected. The application begins to send the form to the server automatically, and here it says the submission is successful. So you hit OK and go back. That is how you edit data. That is how you delete and then submit, or rather upload the form to your database or server. While data collection is taking place, you are definitely going to reach a point where you want to see or even download the data from the server. This now brings us to our 7th point or 7th step in creating a data collection system in Kobo Collect, which is downloading or retrieving data from the server. Before we can go into how to view and download the data, let me share with you a few things that you may want to consider while data collection is taking place. One is encourage your data collectors to send data back to the server as soon as possible. This means if someone has finished collecting data for a day, let them send that data immediately to the server. This will save you from data loss in case the application in the phone crashes. And also it will help you to see errors ahead of time before a lot of data comes to your server. Secondly, conduct spot checks, meaning that get some of the data from your server and go to the field and verify if that data is actually true. It does not mean that you check everything, but try and get a few points and see if those points are actually correct with what is actually on ground. Let me now show you where you can get your data and then how you can download it into your laptop. So here is my account or server. You can follow the same procedures of logging into your account. It should be able to take you into this kind of page. So here is my home page of the account, and it has two forms. And just from this very point, you can see that this first form, the one that we created, has 2 submissions, and then this one for our project has 5,509 submissions. My interest is in this one that we just created. So to view your data, you just click on this form and then come to data. You see there is data here. There is summary, form, data, and settings. Just click data. This is where you find your data. Our server shows that we have 2 submissions. This one and then this one. Okay? So here is the data. You can actually view or even delete this data from the server. Let me show you how to do that. So there is this icon here that says edit. Let's go ahead and click that icon. Okay, so here you can edit the data. You can change the name if the name is not the one that is meant to be. You can change anything. You can edit. That's all I'm trying to show you. And then after you're done, you come and click and say submit. That data will be automatically updated. So this is how you view your data. How do you download this data into your computer? Still on the same page, if you can see on this left-hand side of the data, there is table, reports, gallery, downloads, and map. The download option is the second last here, so I will click there to get to a download. Okay? Already you can see that there is a blue button here that says export, meaning bringing this data to our computer in form of a download. So to download or to prepare for download, just click export. And when you do, here is the option to download. So it has prepared the document as for a download, which now is here. So this is where you actually download the data from. So I'm going to click download. And here it goes. You can see the download is ready. Now let me show you where the download goes to. The file that gets downloaded is an Excel form, and you can change the format to your preferred, to any that you want from here, from this drop down arrow. Excel usually comes as a default, but there is CSV and then all these other options. But I usually prefer Excel. I usually prefer to download my data as an Excel sheet. So here is the data. Where do you go to view this data? You click on this arrow and say show in folder. And here it is. This is the data. It comes under your downloads. It comes under your download. So here is the data. Let me open it so we can see what is in there. Alright, this is our data and this is how it looks like. Okay, we have 2 submissions, and as you can see, This is the date when the data was collected. This is the name. This usually comes as a default, so even if you don't set it, it comes as a default. If you need it, you can remove it. If you feel you want it, you can leave it. And this is all the data that we collected. That is how you view and retrieve your data. Let me show you a server that has more data. Okay, I will go back to my home page by clicking on Kobo Toolbox, which is right here. And then here is what I want to show you. This server here, or this form, has over 5,000 submissions. Right, so I'll open so we can see we have an impression of a little more data. You follow the same procedure to get the data. Come to data here, and this is all the data that we've collected in a project called Promotion of Renewable Energy Use in Uganda. Okay, this is all the data. It has 184 submissions. Let me also download it so we can have a file in the computer. To do that, you still follow the same procedure as what we used in the other one. So click downloads, which is right here, export, and here it is preparing the export file. Alright, our download is ready, so I'm just going to click on download, and here it goes. It has started downloading, as you can see here. To see where the download has gone, we follow the same procedure. Click on this arrow right here and come to show in folder, and here is the file. This is the one we downloaded earlier on, and this is the second one. I'm going to open it so you can see it. Alright, this is the data in this server, Promotion of Renewable Energy Use in Uganda. This is all the data. It's quite a lot of data. So like I said, if you do not view this data early while it is still little, when data collection has just happened, and let's say there are errors made, you will have a lot of work to do, because you will have to correct the data all at once, which is pretty much a very hard thing, because this has plenty of data here. So checking through each one of them is going to be a lot of work. So you need to make sure that data is coming to your server, and as it comes in, you keep downloading and viewing it and checking for any errors, and also cleaning it. We have now come to the end of how to create a data collection system in Kobo Toolbox. I am quite sure that with these 7 steps, you can easily create your own system for collecting data in Kobo Toolbox. We have so far looked at the core of a GIS, which is data. I have also shown you how to create a system for data collection in Kobo Toolbox. The remaining functions of a GIS are pretty much about the data that you have now collected. We will now look at our second function of a GIS, which is data management. Data management are the techniques that you use to ensure that your data is accurate, consistent, and secure. Some of these techniques include data cleaning. Data cleaning is where you correct any wrong entries of your data. Let me give you an example of what I'm saying. This is data collected by 50 solar extension agents working under Project ProREU. Some of this data has errors, such as this one here, right here. This person or Team Felix mapped a household, and yet in one of our guidelines for mapping, we said you do not include someone's name, especially a householder's name, in our data. So instead of having the owner's name here, we're just supposed to have a name, or rather just give it a general name, household. Okay, like that, household. So that is one of the errors this person made in this particular entry, and several others. As you can see here, this person, Edonga Dennis, instead of saying household, he typed household, which is wrong. Okay, it's supposed to be household. household, and you enter. Those are some of the errors and many others. You'll have to go through each of these entries to check if the data is correct, especially such as spelling errors. Whereas some of the data you may not be able to tell if it is correct or wrong at this point, but there are things that you can correct at this point, such as spelling errors and every other error that your instinct can tell you that this might be wrong. The second thing is spot checks. The second technique is spot checks. There is data you may not be able to tell if it is correct or wrong until you go to the field. So spot checks is actually where you go to the field and collect data and collect your own data of this similar point. So you can select a few points and then you can collect that data. And then later you can compare what was sent to the server to the data you collected. From that point now you can tell that something was right or wrong. An example of such data can be the number of users here. You cannot tell just from sitting in your desk if this figure is right or wrong. So this will require you to go to the field and actually find out if there are 5 users. Okay, this is number of users, 5 users of this solar system. Especially when it comes to figures, you may not be able to tell if it is correct when you are just seated in office, and that is why you conduct spot checks. I personally went to the field to conduct spot checks and to make sure that the data being sent is correct. Another advantage of carrying out spot checks is that you are able to correct some errors that the data collector is making right from the field, and this will save you a lot of time cleaning your data. The third technique that I'm going to share with you is data protection. In the future, after your data collection is done, you will want to share this data. And one thing that you should know, that if your data is not protected, it is very likely that people are going to keep changing while they share it from one person to another. Let's say this data was shared with person B. When person B opens the data, while they go through the data, they might by mistake put in another entry like that, and they may not know. Okay, and maybe as they close the document, it asks them to save, and they save it. When they later share that same data with another person, they definitely have shared the wrong data. So how do you avoid such things when your data is moving from one person to another, from person A to person B to person C to person D? You do that by protecting your data. Let me just show you an example of what I mean. Here is data that is protected. If I share this data with another person, they cannot change anything in the data. Let me give an example. Let me just put my cursor there and try to type something. Do you recognize that it says document opened in read-only mode, meaning that the person can only read and they cannot change anything? This will not affect their analysis of the data. This will not affect, but it can only stop them from editing and changing your data. Okay, let me give you another example. Let me try another way maybe to change the data. Just type there. It says document open in read only. That means someone cannot change the data. How do you do this? Let's go back to this data, which is editable. Okay, all right. Okay, this one is not editable. I'll just undo. To protect this document, I am using OpenOffice. So if you're using Excel or any other spreadsheet, I don't know how in yours you protect the data, but in this one that I'm using, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to show you. So you come to File here and come to Properties. It brings you directly to Security here, where you can make your spreadsheet read only, meaning someone cannot change anything. After you checking there, you come here and say protect. Okay? It now asks you to put a password, and this password is what is going to make sure that your data is not changed unless the person has the password. Let me just add in a password. Of course, this is the same password I put here. Then I say OK. So when I click OK, alright, now let me just go back and check in properties. It says this is passworded. Okay. When I save and okay, it asks me to save it somewhere, so I will just find where to save it. Maybe under pictures here and say save. Let me now go and see where my file is, the one that we just passworded. So I come here to pictures and I think this is the file. So I'll open it. Okay, as you can see, this has opened in read only. That means I cannot edit anything. Okay, if I try to put something there, it will definitely say I cannot do that. If I tried here, definitely say that, the same thing. That is how you protect your data. There are other ways of protecting your data, such as protecting your data from viruses. That means zipping your file and other methods. But that is one of the techniques of making sure that when your data moves from one person to another, your data remains consistent and accurate. Lastly, the fourth technique is data storage. One thing about data is that it's expensive to collect, and that means you want to try as much as you can to make sure you do not lose your data. One of the ways is by making sure you have multiple copies saved somewhere, maybe offline and online. I would encourage you to use both online platforms and then offline platforms. Some of the online platforms are like Google Drive. Even Kobo Toolbox still helps you to keep your data. You also have to make sure that you have this data saved offline in multiple places or hard drives. You never know, internet could go off. It one time did in our country. So try as much as you can to have multiple places where you store your data. So those are key things that you need to do when you are conducting or making sure that your data is managed well. Now that we've seen what data management is, let's move to our third function of a GIS, which is data analysis. Data analysis is a process one undergoes to understand the data and to be able to obtain results from the data. There are many applications that you can use to help you analyze data. One of them is Excel, another is SPSS, Stata, and so many others. Let me show you how I am analyzing this data using Excel. So here is the data for the project, for the ProREU project. This data is already cleaned and spot checked. Okay, it's already cleaned and spot checked. As you can see, I have many tabs in my Excel, and these tabs help me to analyze my data automatically. I don't have to go counting some results manually. It's just done automatically. I'm going to show this to you shortly. Let's just go to this tab. So this tab has a summary report of the work that each solar extension agent has done so far. It has a summary of what each one of them has mapped, each place each one of them has mapped. As you can see, this first person has mapped this number of institutions, number of households, and so forth and so forth, and it adds for me automatically. Same to this person, gives me a summary of the households they have mapped, the institutions they have mapped, the households, the shops, or business points, and so forth and so forth. It also gives me the ability to use a chart, a graph, to see how many each one of them has done. For example, Omar Ronald has mapped the biggest or largest number of households. The red ones are households. So, no, it's actually this person, Susan, has mapped the highest number of households. So what I'm doing actually is analysis. I'm getting some results for the data. So through this, I can know who is doing more work, and who is doing less work. Like this person has never mapped because he met a challenge, he went back to school. So there is a lot of analysis going on here already. And then the next tab, I have a summary per district. These are the number of points mapped per district in a lepton. There are this number of institutions, institutions mapped, and then these are government owned, these are private owned, and then 108 households have been mapped, and then this is all analysis using an Excel sheet, and so forth and so forth. There are also graphs that are helping me to do that. What I'm doing here is all analysis. So it depends on what you're well conversant with. If you're well conversant with Excel, you can use Excel. If you're well conversant with another application, you can go ahead and use that application. So that is our third function of GIS, analysis of data. Now let's look at our last function of a GIS, which is data visualization or presentation. Data visualization is a way of presenting data graphically by means of charts and graphs or using maps. During data analysis, we saw how we can get graphs out of our data, and you can as well get charts such as pie charts from your data. I'm now going to show you how you can use GIS software to get maps. Maps show you the location of your data. Let me give you an example of a software I have used for creating maps for this project. So here is a software. The software is called QGIS. It's what I use for looking at the data, looking at the distribution of the data that we have so far. In this software, I have several data from other sources as well. For example, this data of solar extension agents was collected by ACSET Uganda, and then this data of solar companies was collected by ACSET Uganda. This one is from UBOS. This as well is from UBOS. This as well is from UBOS. And then this is from Google. This is from Google. UBOS is a Uganda Bureau of Statistics. It's an institution that provides data to anyone that needs them. They have different kinds of data of roads, forests, and so many others in the country. So through this data, I can see the distribution of, let's say, solar extension agents in Lango region. So all of these solar extension agents, beg your pardon, located in different regions, different districts in Lango region. Let's just switch off other data so we can see clearly how they are distributed. So let me switch off this data. Okay. And then let me switch off sub-counties. Okay. So now you see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 solar extension agents in OYAM, and they are well distributed. Okay, we are sure that people in this place can get to the solar extension agent for services, for solar services, and this solar extension agent can serve people in this area and even beyond. Okay, so this is how GIS is used for also helping you to do some analysis, but mostly to present your data so you can see the impression of your data on a map and see how it is distributed. I also added details of locations and contacts of solar extension agents to Google Maps. This is basically to enable clients access them remotely. Now let me show you how that is done. Open any web browser of your choice. You could be using a smartphone or laptop. I am going to use Google Chrome for illustration. So I will open Google Chrome and just select my account here. And in this search area here, I'll just type solar technician near me. You see this? And then hit enter. Okay, so I have results here already of solar technicians that are near me, like this one, and also here they are Same here on the map. If you're using any other web browser apart from Google Chrome, let me illustrate it using Microsoft Edge, which is right here. So you're going to first type www.google.com/maps. Okay, and then you hit enter. Then the map appears. When the map appears around in this area here, it just says solar technician near me. See here, and then you hit enter. Okay, so here are the results. This is on any other web browser. So if you're using any other web browser like Mozilla, Firefox, apart from Google Chrome, you have to first search for the map, Google Maps, by typing here www.google.com/maps, and then the Google map will appear, and then you can search for the technician. Let me go back to Google Chrome. I am going to select this technician here, and I'll do that by clicking on this red point. And so a bunch of information appears. Some of the information that appears includes his address, the days that he works, and then the hours, his contact, he doesn't have a website, his photo, and then there is the area here where you can make a review of the technician after he has served you. So let me just click on be the first to review and give you a little more information about how to use this function. Let me just click this. So this window pops up. This window is where you can rate the technician. Rating means giving the technician marks according to the service that you've received from him. It's always advised that you rate the technician after he has completed the service, and also after you have used the system, let's say maybe after a week. That is when you can fully determine that the system works well, and so you can comfortably give him the right marks or the right number of stars as a result of his service. So when do you give a technician 5 stars? There are several factors that you can consider when giving a technician 5 stars. Of course, 5 stars are the highest, or is the highest mark, and so we expect only positive comments. An example is your system broke down, and for so many days you didn't have light, you didn't have power in your house, and you were not sure really why the system broke down. Let's say the lights went out, the sockets are not working, and so you cannot watch your TV, you cannot charge, you don't have, your bulbs are not working, and other related issues. And so you call this gentleman here, okay? And after you've called this gentleman, first of all, when you called him, he responded quickly. That means he received your call in real time. And when he received your call, he was very kind on the other side of the call. He was very nice, and he promised you that I will come and check out your system at such and such a time, let's say 2 p.m. And 2 p.m. he is at your door. And so quickly he checks on the system and then speaks with you, tells you what the problem is. If there were some materials that were required, he asks you for money to get those materials. And at the end of the day, your system works, your lights are back, your sockets are back, your fridge is working, your TV is on, the children are happy. We now say that the system is now fully functioning. Now, what I've given you is a scenario of someone who has done work, a technician who has done work. And now we can say that that technician deserves 5 stars. Why? Because when you called him, he responded in real time. And then when he told you that he was going to come at 2 p.m., he actually came at 1:30 p.m. That means he kept time. And then when he came to your home, he was able to check on the system and told you exactly what the problem was. And he also told you the exact things that you needed. When you gave the money to him, he went and bought the actual products, the actual products in the right quality according to your money.
and then he brought them back. And then he brought them and even gave you the receipts to see to show you proof of how he has used the money. You know, there are technicians that don't do that. They just told you, I used all the money. It was not even enough. All right. And so he does his work smartly without inconveniencing anyone. While he was doing his work, he was kind. He was even sharing with you and telling you, you see, the problem is here, the problem is there. Now I am going to do this and do this. And he even gives you some tips and tells you, next time when this happens, this is something that you can do. You can do this and do the other, something like that. At the end of the day, the system works well. After he has given you this or handed back the system to you, you actually check it works. After a week, he calls back and says, hey, how is the system? Is it working? So you see, the gentleman is actually caring about his clients. So we can say that technician deserves 5 stars for all those reasons that I have mentioned. You get? So he even cares to call back and say, how was your system? Do you need my help? You know, and even gave you more tips in case something like that happened. And then he ends by saying, whenever you need me, I am around. So that technician for sure needs 5 stars. That technician deserves 5 stars. So you're free to give such a technician 5 stars. You're free to give a technician that has solved your problem and has used your money rightly, given you the right products, or bought for you the right materials at the right quality. Of course, your problems can be different. Your energy or solar problems can be different. Another person will need an installation. Another person will need a maintenance. Another person will need repair. So as long as the service is met, that service, whether it's maintenance, whether it is repair, whether it is installation, as long as that service is met, the person is good, he speaks well, he refers you to the right shops to get the right materials, such people deserve 5 stars. And of course, give your comment here. Let me just give you an example of a comment. So I can say, he keeps time. He keeps time, speaks well, honest, does the job and completes it, and even calls back to check everything is working properly. He is an excellent technician. All right. So this is an example of a comment that I've used for the scenario I just told you about. So he keeps time, speaks well, he's honest, and all those nice points. Make sure to put them. Don't just put 2 words or 3 words, because that will not be enough justification for the 5 stars. Now let's move to 4 stars. When you give someone 4 stars, such a person, first of all, 4 stars is a good mark, and we should say that such a person is good to use. It's good to use, but he might be probably having a few issues, and that issue could be around time. He's probably a very busy technician and has a lot of clients, and so every time you call, he's attending to someone, and sometimes he forgets to pick your call or even call back. But when he comes to do his job, let's say the same problem is your system failed, your bulbs are not working, everything has shut down. And so we say that such a person comes and then he actually fixes the problem. He gets the problem fixed. And so because of the time issue, you can deny him the 5 stars. But because he has fixed the issue, the system is back, the lights are working, the sockets are working, the fridge is working, all your appliances are actually good. Nothing has stopped working from the time he repaired. He also gave you some tips. He also bought the right products with the right quality according to your money. So all those factors are good for the technician because he has done the job, or all those factors are good, and just because of time, we can compromise and say we are giving him 4, so that people can know that when you call this gentleman, he's most likely to delay because he's a busy person. He has plenty of clients, and so he may not be able to attend you quickly. So those are factors, and because of that time issue, we can say let's give him 4. Okay, but remember, the system works, everything is well. He may not call you like the person of the 5 stars to check if the system works, but still the system works. Even if he doesn't call, the system continues to work, and so many other factors. So feel free to write how you feel about the technician. There is a lot I could say about the 4-star, but I don't want to make things very, very long. So feel free to put your comment as to why you've given the person 4 stars. Now let's move to 3 stars. Now I want you to know that 3 and below is a bad mark. Okay, it's a bad mark, and so there should be reasons as to why you are giving someone the 3 stars. Okay, 3, 2, 1 star is a bad mark. So such a person, let's say I'm going to give you a scenario when you should give, where you can give, or when you should give 3 stars. So let's say you have an installation task that you want him to do, and so you call him, come and I have my system, or I want to install a solar system in my house. Okay, so please come and check on my house and see what we need, and then how can we move forward. So when you call this person, first of all, they don't respond to your call. Okay, and then when you call them a second time, just to make sure they hear the call, they receive, and they are so tough on the phone. They are so tough. They claim they are too busy. They claim you should not call them all that. One call is enough. There are people that say, just call me once, that's enough. So they are tough, but then they say, I'm coming. Okay, then they come. When they come to check on the house, they are in a rush to check on the house, and then they are not talking to you. They are just doing their work. There is no engagement. There's no conversation telling you or explaining to you what he is doing. So all you see is boom, a quotation. Okay, quotation without an explanation. You're seeing things on the paper, but you don't know what they do, or if really you need them. But then you compromise and say, you give him the money. So after giving him the money, he goes and buys things, comes and installs system. First of all, he hasn't, and at the end of the day, he does not give you a receipt. So first of all, because he did not involve you in the process or in the work, he was doing the work alone, very tough, and also silent at the same time. So those are all factors of people that you can either give 3 or 2 or 1. Okay? And so after the system has been installed, yes, things are working. The first day, second day, things are working. The third, the fourth day, one bulb goes off, The fifth day, second bulb is not producing the light it used to produce on the first day. So the system looks like it was not installed well, or the products that were bought were not the right product or the strong ones. And let's say you gave him a lot of money, hoping that he will bring for you the original ones, and he did not bring for you the original ones. Before you know it, a month, everything has failed. Okay? Or out of 100%, only 50 or 40% of the system is working. So such people deserve between 1, 2, 3 stars, depending on how you feel about this person. Of course, I've given you a scenario just to help you know how to award a star to that technician. But 3 is bad, and so we expect that there are issues with the technician. So you can say, yes, he installed the system. The system was working well on the first day, second day, but after on the fifth day, things began changing. Okay, or you can also say, hey, he actually speaks nice, but out of the 5 bulbs installed, only 3 or 2 are working. Okay, and another thing could be he actually picks calls, but he picks calls on real time, but he does not come in the time he says he comes. All right, he says, I will come in the evening, and then he shows up after 3 days. So all those are factors that you can consider when awarding these stars, and there are very many other factors that you can consider. So those are examples. I've given you scenarios in which you can scenarios that you can relate with in awarding a technician or reviewing a technician. So it is all around, has he fixed the problem? Does the problem stay fixed? Or does he fix the problem the first day, third day, everything begins to change? So all those are factors. And then after fixing the problem, how does it treat you? Or even during the process of fixing your system, either installing or maintaining or repairing the system, what kind of, how does this speak? How does it speak? Is he actually friendly? Is he a nice person? Is he someone that you can easily call back if there's a problem? There are people that you cannot call back. They tell you, but I fixed everything. You understand? So those are all things that you can consider. So 3 stars is a bad review or a bad mark. So make sure you add your comments. I believe there are positive things that even this person of 3 stars has done. They could be having their issues. Maybe they don't speak well, but the person fixed the system, or they are so nice, but actually they don't do what they say they would do, and so forth and so forth. So when you are done reviewing, you can come right here and post your review. But because I was just sharing with you how to make a review, I will not post this. I'll just cancel it. So it says cancel your changes to review this. Yes. So I'm going to cancel because I was using this as an example. But for you, when you're making your review, after you're done, just click post, and this review will go public. Anyone who clicks on this technician will see your review. All right. Let me just cancel and say yes. Let me just check for any technician who has already received a review. So just by scrolling these technicians like this, you can see that this person already has a review. Okay, so we'll just select this one, solar technician 35 in Kobo. We see that he has 1 star. All right, so here also shows he has 1 star. So the person gave 1 star and gave a very nice comment saying sizing, installing, repair and maintenance of any kind of PV system. This is a very good comment, but then the person gave 1 star. This is an example of a bad review. I presume that this person, or I suppose that this person should have given 5 star, because they're here recommending this person that he does all these services. So just make sure that you have a reason why you're giving 1 star. And of course, if you have such a beautiful comment, you don't expect to have 1 star. So this is an example of a bad review. Okay, so please be cautious as you are rating these technicians, because again, that information will help other people make choice of what technician to get. So in my opinion, this person with this comment should have given 5 stars. So if it were me, I would have given this person 5 stars because of this very good comment. This process is the same whether you are on Microsoft Edge. Let me just come here. You see, like this, it's still the same thing. So okay, so I've just clicked on this solar technician lepton, and you can get directions from here. This map can give you directions. The location is here, the telephone number is here, okay, and all the other details. The photo of the person is here. Really, that is how you access a solar technician on the internet. Now let's get back to what we're talking about. Let me show you now the data on solar systems mapped. Okay, so this data has been categorized according to functionality, non-functionality, and then PV systems, and then places that have not yet installed their PV systems. You can ignore this heading, so I'll just switch this on. Switch that on. So this functional systems shows, under these functional systems, we can see the distribution of systems that are functional in Lango region. Many of them are concentrated around here, others also here, others are here. Let's see where the non-functional systems are. Let me switch off the functional ones. So you see that many non-functional systems are concentrated around this area, and so these solar extension agents can benefit from these non-functional systems by going to repair and advise and troubleshoot, something like that. Okay, let me switch this off, and then these are the places that have, I hope you're able to see. These are the places that do not yet have solar systems. Most of them are institutions, and so forth and so forth. This software's capabilities are many. I cannot share all of them here. Okay, you can even go ahead and analyze per sub-county. Okay, like in this sub-county, you can know how many systems are there and how they are distributed. And through the software, I made multiple maps. Let me just share with you examples of maps that I made. All of this is under data visualization. So this is a map showing. This is a map showing distribution of solar extension agents in Lango region. Okay. Let me give you another one. Other maps are here. This is a map showing functional solar systems in Lango region. You can see. Of course, the other details in this map. There is the legend, which most of you know as the key. This is the description of the project. These are the implementing bodies. This is the funder, and so forth and so forth. Another map is here. This is a map showing non-functional solar systems in Lango region. Someone even went ahead and mapped another system here, which is okay. Same information. This is a legend, and then other details about the map. These are other details of the same map. Another map is here. This is a map showing solar PV systems as purchased from solar companies in Lango region. So the ones purchased from D-Light are black in color. The ones from ReadyPay are this color, just so as you can see, the colors are different. So
From this map, you can zoom in and zoom out. Okay, you can see the distribution of how the solar companies are distributed in Lango region. Most of the solar systems were bought from these other shops. That's why green is dominant. This is all data visualization I am showing you. The map is helping you or helping me to see the distribution of the data that we have. Let me also show you another platform that I am using to visualize our data, which is called Google My Maps. So this is the description of the map is here. This data was collected by ProREU, the ProREU Project, and it's being implemented by ACSET Uganda in consortium with Kobo's Foundation with funding from GIS. So this is also helping me to view the data. This map is called a base map, is by Google My Maps, and then this data is the data I have just added. There are many platforms that you can use for visualizing your data, but these are just examples of them. Another example can be OpenStreetMap. It's also a very good platform for visualizing your data. I hope now you understand what data visualization is. We've now come to the end of all the functions of a GIS, and I am sure that now you understand what GIS is and how powerful it is as a tool for data management, data use, data analysis, and data visualization. I also assume that by now you can create your own geographical information system that can help you collect data, analyze it, manage it, and visualize it. If you have not understood anything, you can rewind the video and listen to it again. Like I said, there are other topics that are wide and cannot be fully exhausted in this video, but this should give you an idea of what each of the functions of GIS does. We have also looked at the components of a GIS. Through this, you cannot be able to fully use a GIS without having people, without having the computer, the smartphone, the GPS devices, and so forth and so forth. Thank you for watching, and I wish you all the best.